You know, it's interesting to think in the world of reality TV that we have today, how people see things differently. Everything is filmed, isn't it? Particularly with the younger generation. They make their contact by sending each other videos, even though they're just across the room, you know, the sort of thing. And when you also look at now, for instance, how many people truly believe things like The Crown made by Netflix is actual history, even though they've literally rewritten history to suit the drama. Well, what hope do you have about getting the truth? So you can understand how this particular incident way back in the late 1960s was rather dramatic for the British monarchy, and one that caused a bit of a rumpus between all senior members. But amazingly, one particular individual didn't think it was that bad and took the side of the Duke of Edinburgh. This might just shock you, considering what she thinks today. As ever, let me explain. Hi, lovely to see you. Thank you so much as ever for joining me today. You all right? Yes, I don't know about you, but you know, I just take these things like, you know, The Crown and everything with a huge pinch of salt. I can honestly say I've never seen an episode. I've seen clips and things, but I've never really been that interested in it as a product, you know, because you kind of think that's not true. Peter Morgan, the writer, is literally just writing a TV series, and he's writing a good TV series for entertainment. But they really should have put disclaimers up from the beginning, because truly, you know, it was what it was, just pure entertainment. I remember meeting the two stars at the very beginning, Claire Foy and of course Matt Smith, who came into the studio, and they had no idea whether the show was going to be successful or not. It's funny, isn't it, when you see things right at the start? And I thought, I've never heard of it, you know, because they said, oh, it's The Crown. I thought, what's that? It's funny, isn't it? No interest either. What was fascinating, of course, was The Crown did take off and was very successful. But way back in 1969, The Royal Family, filmed for the BBC, was considered to be groundbreaking. Only screened once because apparently the Queen was very offended by it when she finally saw it. This baffled a lot of the BBC bosses though, let me tell you, because they did get final copy approval, editorial approval, as one can imagine when you're dealing with something of that level. And when you watch the clips and see it now, it's incredibly tame really, but it's a sort of strange sort of carbuncle of things, because basically, they're trying to make the royal family appear normal, and we don't want that. You know, they are the royal family, they lead by example. But of course, it was a nice insight into that particular time in their lives and what they were doing, that sort of thing, you know. So of course, cast your mind back. So of course, now when you throw forward, you know, 40 odd years plus more, it's interesting, isn't it, to see how that's now fared up. Well, the programme is still banned from being screened, but, you know, being the digital world, the platforms that things are, you simply can't stop it. But what's fascinating to note was that while everybody senior level at that time didn't like it, according to a very well-placed source, there was one person on the side of the Duke of Edinburgh, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, and that was Princess Anne. But you have to remember, she was a lot younger then, and she didn't really understand the problem with it. And apparently this led to a heated debate with Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, who detested the idea of that sort of, well, imposingness of finding out exactly what's going on inside the firm, the family. And even, as I say, right until, sadly, the Queen's demise, she wouldn't have it spoken about at all, considering this to be one of the biggest, gravest mistakes of her very long reign. But you see, as we saw previously with Prince Philip, he very much pushed to have the coronation televised way back in 1953, and he was proven right that this was a wonderful historical documentation. What he thought with the royal family was, as they were coming out of the swinging 60s and into a brand new era of the decadent, some say 70s, you had to show a different perspective. And the idea for his perspective was simply, well, people get to see us being as much as like them as possible, and this will help people understand what we do and why we do it. Seemingly, apart from the Royal Princess Anne, nobody was on Prince Philip's side, and it remains one of the darkest mysteries as to why anybody signed up in the very first place. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.